What's going on, folks? This is your host, GB, and welcome to Into the Squared Circle podcast. All things pro wrestling from a fan to the fan out there. And on this episode, I'll give you guys my top highlight. Numero uno highlight from WWE RAW this past Monday on the USA Network. Also, we'll have a couple highlights from AEW Dynamite this past Wednesday on TBS. Who's the big signing for Tony Khan this coming Saturday? Also this Saturday, also on this episode, yes, AEW's Full Gear. I'll have my previews and predictions to see if my predictions will be right or wrong. Also this coming Friday Night Wars. We got WWE SmackDown versus AEW Collision. Who will win? We'll discuss about that as well. But since I got your attention on YouTube, hit the subscribe, man. Hey, I got your attention. Hit the subscribe right now. And follow me on my social media platforms on Facebook, X, and on Instagram. All you have to do is type in Into the Squared Circle podcast. By the way, the podcast is available, right here. All major podcasting outlets like Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and more. So wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, subscribe today. All right, folks, I'm going to shut up. Let's talk about pro wrestling, shall we? All right, folks, let's talk about WWE RAW this past Monday on the USA Network. If you watch Monday Night Raw, you know what I'm talking about. The top highlight that ended this past Monday on Raw. The very end. Now, of course, we had a couple things here and there throughout Raw that's pretty decent, right? Shinsuke Nakamura is frustrated again. When is he ever not frustrated? Yeah. So, Shinsuke Nakamura was a little frustrated. What else happened on Monday Night Raw? Well, Damian Priest declared that he is the leader. Even though Mommy allegedly was supposed to be the leader. But there's no leaders in Judgment Day. But Damian Priest stepped up throughout the show. And he's like, I am the leader. Well, long story short, Damian Priest, Finn Balor, the Judgment Day will put up their undisputed tag team titles on the line against Cody Rhodes and his partner, Yeet Jey Uso, for the main event. It was a hell of a match. By the way, everyone on the Judgment side was barred, not from the ring, but they were barred from the arena. Adam Pearce said that. I'm tired of the games. I'm tired of all the wars. And he also barred Seth Rollins. Now, midway through the show on Raw, Drew McIntyre came across Seth Rollins. And if you remember, back in Crown Jewels a couple weeks ago, that was the opening match of the show. Not the pre-show, the actual first match of the Crown Jewels. Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins. And that was a hell of a match. Hands down. Now, Drew fell short, and he lost. So this past Monday, Drew came across Seth Rollins. And Drew was like, you know what? Seth, you are the champion. You are the man. You got my you got my respect, right? You got my respect. They shook hands. That was it. And, it was a nice little moment there where you got his hands shooken. Both men made peace, right? Like men, right? Like men. So, after that, for the main event, it was supposed to be Damian Priest, Finn Balor, putting their undisputed tag team titles in line against Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. So what? Okay, G. What's Drew McIntyre got to do with this? Now remember, he made truce with Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is going to be joining Team Cody at Survivor Series right here in Chicago. So, you see where I'm going here? Now, that, as I mentioned, the main event was pretty good, the tag team match for the titles. But, Drew McIntyre came out, and he wiped out Cody, and he wiped out Jey Uso, double-crossing the good guys. Remember, he shook hands with Seth Rollins. They made truce. Now, he comes out there, backstab him, and takes out his fellow partners, which Seth will team up with at Survivor Series. Meaning, Drew McIntyre just turned heel. Amazing. And Drew, you know what? I'm up for it. You know, I don't see him. I don't envision him as a babyface. I do envision him as a heel. So I like where they're going. And that moment right there at the very end of Raw made it my top highlight for WWE Raw this past Monday on the USA Network, huh? So, I mean, what you think about that? So, if you watch Monday Night Raw this past Monday on the USA Network, and you have your favorite top moment, it's very simple, folks. All you have to do is type it right here in the comment section if you're watching on YouTube. Of course, you see me finagling right here, podcasting, right? So if you don't feel like watching this right now, you can listen to it via a podcast. As I mentioned, Into the Square Circle podcast, now available on all major podcast outlets like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and more. So, something to think about if you're driving somewhere, driving to work, driving home, going to school, or maybe going walking around the block and you're a fan of pro wrestling. Kind of keep that in mind, folks. All right, so let's talk about All Elite Wrestling Dynamite this past Wednesday on TBS. So there was some decent stuff. There was some good stuff. And then there was stuff that, you know, I kind of scratched my head. So let's talk about stuff that, man. All right, let's pick some stuff out from Dynamite this past Wednesday on TBS. So the promo between Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland. Now, Tony Schiavone, who not really conducted the interview between both men because he got shut out really quick, but Tony Schiavone said if either men touch each other, their match at Full Gear this coming Saturday will be called off, and both men will be suspended if they touch each other. Right? And you could tell both guys want to slap the piss out of each other. So, man, you know, Hangman Adam Page, his promo was fiery. I enjoyed it, but at the same time, it was a little silly. You got Hangman Adam Page calling Swerve Strickland a punk-ass bitch because he got fired from WWE. I don't know. That just a little childish for me. And Hangman Adam Page told Swerve Strickland, Prince Nana, who's, I guess, managing Swerve Strickland, you know, hey, Prince Nana, I saw you bought weed from a high schooler behind the school. And guess what? I'm going to whoop your ass and I'm going to steal your weed anyway. You know, it's like shit like that. Come on. You know, come on, Adam Hangman Page. You were a drunk cowboy. You're a badass. And this is the type of stuff you come up with? Again, I'm a grown-ass person, okay? I don't need jokes about buying weed from a high school person. Like, of all places, why would you joke about Prince Nana buying weed from a high school student behind a school? Isn't that creepy? And then beat his ass to steal the weed? Come on. I don't know. It just, to me, that part was a little silly. I enjoyed his fire, his charisma. And of course, as I mentioned, the stipulation was in this confrontation, both men couldn't hurt each other or they'll be suspended and their match will be off this coming Saturday on Full Gear. So Hangman Adam Page was like, okay, well, I can't touch you, Swerve, so I'll just whoop your manager's ass, Prince Nana. And he clocked his ass. And Swerve couldn't do anything because he couldn't touch Hangman Adam Page. So all the security guards came in and pretty much broke up Prince Nana and Hangman Adam Page. And eventually both guys were taking off security guards. That's it. So, you know, I don't know. That's probably my least favorite moment of the Young Bucks. Again, I'm a fan of the Young Bucks, but again, of course, they're their hometown crowd, right? Hometown crowd. And again, they were in Ontario, California, not Ontario, Canada, Ontario, California, right outside of the Rancho Cucamonga, where the Young Bucks are from. Obviously, they had a match against one half of the Lucha Brothers, Penta Zero Miedo, and was that Commander? And the tag team match. As you expect, high spots, fast-paced, luchador style wrestling. Again, I see it all the time, so I just like, eh. And the Young Bucks cheat. They cheat to win their match in their hometown. So interesting. I don't know. It was interesting to me. All right, so another interesting match. Ay. So there was a Ontario street fight. So it was the Don Callis family, right? It was Kyle Fletcher, Konosuke Takeshita, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Brian Cage. 4 guys against 4 guys from the Golden Jet, right? Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, Paul White, and Kota Ibushi. So I guess the match started off in chaos. Of course, there was Chinese restaurant menus all across the ring. What else? Some goofy stuff. You know what? I was surprised. I was surprised to see Powerhouse Hobbs power slam, body slam Paul White, a.k.a. the Big Show, onto a car safely. Now, that was impressive. That was impressive. I saw a meme on X, right, formerly as Twitter. You can find me Into the Square Circle podcast and X. And I saw someone where Paul White was in WCW, right? He was the Giant, right? And Goldberg did the jackknife on Paul White in WCW. So somebody commented on the top of the caption, "Man, I hope somebody does this tonight on Dynamite." Well, it wasn't a jackknife, but Powerhouse Hobbs, you know what? He body slammed him through a car window. So I'm pretty content with that. Another spot in this Ontario street fight. Kota Ibushi came down the ramp on a bicycle. I mean, how often do you see someone riding a bicycle down a ramp towards a wrestling ring during a match, whacking people with a pipe, and then get clotheslined off the bike by Brian Cage? You don't see that often. Yeah, it was interesting. But, it was an entertaining match, I guess. Is what it is. So, the other highlight from Dynamite, I gotta say the top highlight for Dynamite, of course. So, fans are trying to figure out who's the guy behind the mask around Dynamite. And we don't know, okay? It's not CM Punk, so, I mean, just get that out of your mouth. Get that out of your mind. It's not CM Punk. Is it Adam Cole? Maybe. Could it be Adam Cole Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, maybe bring back Bobby Fish, bring back the Undisputed. You see what I'm saying here? The Undisputed in AEW. That'd be interesting. So, we don't know who's behind the mask. All we know is MJF has a giant X. Wardlow's coming for him. We have Jay White coming for him for this coming Saturday for the champion. You got Samoa Joe coming for him for the champion. You have the Ass Boys, the Colton Boys from Bullet Club Gold coming for the Ring of Honor titles. You have the Devil Mask lurking around him. So MJF has a busy plate. And his ass got wiped out at the very end of Dynamite. Teasing, giving us a little taste in our mouth what it could be if Jay White won the AEW champion. You know what? This is a nice vision in my head. You can imagine in your mind that Jay White could walk away with the AEW World Champion. Maybe. That'd be interesting. But can he? Can't. We'll talk about that in a second. But Tony Khan has announced on social media that he will sign, another free agent to join the company. So this coming Saturday on the pay-per-view, somebody will be joining AEW. So if people are speculating who's going to sign, who's going to be? Could it be Flip Gordon, right? He's another free agent. Could it be Nick Nemeth, a.k.a. Dolph Ziggler? Could be. Could it be Shelton Benjamin, another free agent? Could it be Ronda Rousey? She's a free agent. So there's some top players out there that, they still got value behind her name. So all eyes are on this coming Saturday on Collision. Not Collision. This coming Saturday on Full Gear. Now, Collision, as I mentioned, Collision will be on the same time slot with WWE SmackDown this coming Friday. This coming Friday is going to be loaded. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be loaded. You got Friday Night SmackDown on Fox. It's starting right here, 7 o'clock Central Time or 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern. You're going to have AEW Collision starting at 7. Then at 9 or 10 o'clock Eastern Time, you're going to get Rampage. And then at 11 o'clock Eastern Time or 10 o'clock Central, you're going to get the countdown to Full Gear. So you're going to have 4 hours of AEW content this coming Friday on TNT. That's a lot. And you have 2 hours of SmackDown. I wouldn't be surprised if they bring somebody in on SmackDown this coming Friday. And man, they bring The Rock or Stone Cold or The Undertaker. I wouldn't be surprised if WWE have something up their sleeve to crush AEW and their numbers. I know SmackDown will get good numbers. Okay, I know it. I'm a fan of AEW as well, but I know SmackDown's going to get the. We know it. But the question is, what's the big surprise? So that'll be interesting. All right. So speaking of interesting, let's talk about my previews and predictions of AEW Full Gear this coming Saturday on pay-per-view. So that right there, folks, I'm going to take a little break right there on the podcast. And when we come back, let's do my predictions and preview for AEW Dynamite. So, all right. So let's talk about AEW Full Gear this coming Saturday on pay-per-view. Live from the Los Angeles Kia Forum. There it is right here if you're watching on YouTube. 9 matches total. They like to add in stuff in between. I guarantee you Tony Khan will add some pre-show stuff this coming Friday. I guarantee you. So, right now, we have 9 matches total. Let's see if our predictions will be right or wrong. All right, so the first one right here, the pre-show, allegedly the pre-show. MJF will put his Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles on the line with a mystery tag team partner versus the Guns, Austin Colt and Gunn. So the question is, who will team up with MJF? Now, will Samoa Joe? Can he? Or, I mean, the question is, will MJF pick Samoa Joe? Or will it be someone else filling that vacant spot? We don't know. We don't know. But as of right now, my best bet, Samoa Joe will join forces with MJF. That'd be interesting. And what if Samoa Joe has the title around his waist? And could that play in fact between him and Adam Cole? We don't know. Long story booking. I'm trying to envision in my mind. But something tells me MJF will retain the Ring of Honor tag team titles. I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised if MJF loses the titles. But, that's gonna be my pick, MJF. All right, so Hikaru Shida will put her AEW World Champion on the line against Timeless Toni Storm. That's gonna be a good match. Now, can you see Toni Storm as the AEW World Women's Champion at this moment? At this very moment. She has the momentum, but I don't see her as a champion right now. Right now. This is a good spot to build her up, right? For the next pay-per-view, which is, World's End, December 30th. But something tells me Hikaru Shida is going to retain that title. So that's going to be my pick. All right, up next, 6-man tag team match. Sting, Darby Allin, and Adam Copeland will face Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne. Of course, Ric Flair will be alongside with Sting. Oh man, this is gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. I'm gonna go for the good guys. I got no explanation. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Christian Cage and his crew wins. But if I have to pick a team, I'm going to go for Sting. Come on. He's retiring in a couple months. Why not start now? So that's going to be my pick. Sting, Darby Allin, and Adam Copeland. All right, up next, the singles match for the AEW International Champion, Orange Cassidy, will put his International Champion on the line against Jon Moxley. Who will win? Who will win? Could Orange Cassidy retain? Or will Jon Moxley get the title around his waist again? We know this match is going to be brutal. We know this match is going to be a slobber knocker, as Jim Ross would say. We know Jon Moxley's going to bleed. Yeah. So, man. As much as I want Mox to win, but I could see Tony Khan keeping the title around Orange's waist. Just, the instinct in my gut, that's what tells me. All right, up next. Adam Hangman Page versus Swerve Strickland. So I think Adam Page will get redemption. Will he? If you're watching on YouTube, drop it in the comment section. Will you think Adam Page get his redemption and defeat Swerve Strickland? Or, podcast land, let me know what you guys think. Into the Square Circle Podcast on Facebook, X, Instagram. Could Swerve Strickland defeat Adam Page? We know this match is going to be a hell of a match. Okay, we know it's going to be a hell of a match. In a Texas death match of all matches. You put that in there, all hell's going to raise. And this may be the best match of the night. But, again, if someone's going to win, I'm going to pick Adam Hangman Page. It's tough to say, but I know it's going to be a good match. All right, up next, the Golden Jets, Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho versus the Young Bucks. If the Golden Jets win, they will get the Young Bucks AEW World Tag Team Championship opportunity, but if the Young Bucks win, the Golden Jets must disband as a team. So we know the Young Bucks are jealous because Kenny Omega kind of distanced himself away from the Elite. And seem like they're jealous that Kenny Omega has built a partnership with Chris Jericho. Now, Chris Jericho despised the Young Bucks as he calls them kids. Oh man, that's funny. But he called the Young Bucks kids. And here we go. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna win? And I think there's something to this. And I could see the Kenny Omega and Jericho, the Golden Jets, win. I could see them win and take the Young Bucks opportunity away. Why not? So, and just make them full-on heels. I could see that happening. So, hell with it. I'm going to risk it and see what happens here. So that's going to be my pick, the Golden Jets. All right, up next. Three-way match for the AEW TBS Championship. Chris Statler, the current TBS Women's Champion, versus Julia Hart versus Sky Blue. So I'm going to ask you, the viewers, the listeners, do you see Julia Hart as a TBS champion? Soon, one day she will. Now, do you see Sky Blue as a TBS champion? Maybe soon, but I mean, not just yet. Keep Chris Statlander the title around her waist. Long-term booking, I would like that to see that happen. Probably defend it a couple of times between now and December, but keep Chris Statlander as the champion, so I could see her retain. All right, up next, the four-way tag team match for the AEW World Tag Team Champions. The current champion, Ricky Starks, and Big Bill, the current champions, versus Los Facción Incurables, which is Rush and Jalisco, versus FTR, versus the Kings of the Black Throne, Malachi Black and Brody King. This is a hell of a match. Again, another phenomenal match contender of the night. And who's going to win? I love FTR. I'm their biggest fan. I'm a huge FTR fan. And I'm also a fan of Brody King and Malachi Black. I like their chemistry. Now, Rush and Jalisco, I've seen little, right? So they might have a little push throughout this match. But I think FTR and the Black Throne is going to be the top contenders if they become new tag team titles. But something tells me in my gut that Ricky Starks and Big Bill will retain. I think they're going to weasel the way out. I guarantee you, they're going to weasel their way out. All right, last match. The main event. MJF will put his AEW World Championship on the line against Switchblade Jay White, the Bang Bang Gang, the leader of Bullet Club Gold. This is the ultimate decision. So I'm going to have to put my pen down for this. This is tough. Think about it. Can you imagine Switchblade Jay White winning the AEW World Champion? Yes. Watching the title around his waist the past couple of weeks, because, you know, if you've been keeping tabs in AEW, he stole the title from MJF. So Jay White is not the legit champion. But he looks good with the championship around his belt. And he has championship material, right? Former IWGP champion and former IWGP US champion, if I'm not mistaken. So Jay White has title belts, up his resume. So add an AEW World Championship to his resume. Yeah, that sounds good. But MGF, from my understanding, he is the longest reigning AEW champion. So I hope he retains. It's tough to say, folks. It's tough to say. Who will get involved? That's the next question. Who will get involved in the match? Could Samoa Joe get involved? Could Wardlow get involved? Or could the Devil Man, the Devil Mask guy that's been lurking around, could he get involved? Could he be officially unveiled, unmasked, this coming Saturday on pay-per-view? There's a lot of questions to talk about. A lot of speculations, but if I had to pick someone, man, this is going to be tough, but I'm going to go for my boy, MJF. He's my scumbag, right? So, that's going to be my pick, MJF. There we go, folks. My picks. And if you're watching on YouTube, you have visual, right? Visual. Highlight it. As I do every prediction. If you listen on the podcast, I will post a picture, put on my social media platforms into the Square Circle Podcast on Facebook, X, and Instagram. That's it. All eyes are on this weekend. This coming Friday, SmackDown, Collision, Rampage, and then Full Gear Saturday. So lots of going on, but I got you covered, man. I'll give you my top highlights and post Full Gear for the Weekend Insider right here on Into the Squared Circle Podcast. All right, folks, have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you guys post Full Gear. Bye-bye, everybody.